Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to you all. In the last class, we have dealt with the internal structure of the earth. As you all know, this is a theme-wise understanding of the NCERT. You need not pick up NCERT and read from cover to cover. Rather, you are supposed to read it in a smart way. So this is one such attempt where we wanted to give you quality content in a confined manner, where you need not read all the chapters in one single book. Rather, you are supposed to study in an orderly manner with respect to theme wise. So in the last class, I have told you that you have to read the internal structure of the earth, for which you need to go to class 7 and class 11 and read chapter number 2 and chapter number 3. Now today's topic is all about rocks and minerals, which are the fundamental understandings of the geomorphology. And for this, what you are supposed to do is, the chapter that one is expected to read is class 11 book, in that chapter number 5. Now this is the only chapter of all the NCERTs which deals with the concept of minerals and rocks, right? I'll also show you the sample of this particular chapter. See, this is part of unit number 3, class number 11, and here the chapter name is minerals and rocks. In this minerals and rocks, they have given a very detailed explanation about these particular rocks, and also little factual content is there. I'll also read out that factual content and I'll tell you where to focus and where not to focus. Apart from that, there are different types of characteristics to the rocks, plus the different types of rocks and the rock cycle. So once if you understand this basics, then it becomes very easy for you to understand the concept of soil as well. So without wasting much of your time, let's quickly delve into the concepts here. So see, those who are reading for the first time, they might be feeling it little difficult, but trust me, once after you watch this class, you will find it very, very easy, right? So before I start this particular topic, I wanted to ask you a few questions. See, the question that I wanted to ask you is, have you ever noticed any mountain or rocks nearby your location during your travel? I'm very sure you might have traveled and you might have seen those mountains, but did you ever question what is the type of that rock? What is the nature of that particular mountain? Is it a folded mountain? The structure of the rocks, is it sedimentary? Is it igneous? Is it metamorphic? Or else, have you ever been to any hill station during your vacation, and do you know that they are originated on the earth? When did they originate on the earth's surface? Or another question that you can think for yourself is, do you know what kind of material are used in the construction of the temples, buildings, roads and flyovers? What are the materials that are used? What kind of rocks that they are used? Where are they procured from? See, to understand these fundamental basics, you need to understand the concept of rocks. But before this, I wanted to ask you a question. What exactly is a rock? What exactly is a rock? How do you define a rock? Now, don't look onto the slides, just try to answer what is a rock and how is it different from a mineral. What is a rock and how is it different from a mineral? Just take a couple of seconds, pause yourself and try to answer it. See, first I'll lead the literature out and then we'll go into the understandings of these topics. Usually, rocks are composed of 2 or more minerals. Okay? Often, many different minerals are present, but few rock quarries are made almost entirely of one mineral. Usually, a rock is nothing but a collection of minerals. Look here, I'll be showing you a small image. Look at this image. You take any rock. A rock can be made up of multiple minerals. This can be X mineral, this can be Y mineral, this can be Z. Like that, a rock can have collection of minerals. Or else, at times, a single rock can be made up of single mineral. But what exactly is this mineral? Your mineral is a collection of elements. Now, what are these elements? You know that in the periodic table, there are good number of elements that are there in your childhood. You might have learned hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen. Like that, you go on. There is a big list, gold, silver, right? These are elements. Now, some are metallic in nature, some are non-metallic in nature, some are in the form of gas. So your rock consists of those elements, right? And those minerals. Rock is a collection of minerals and minerals are collection of elements. Okay? Now these elements, such as quartz is there. Quartz is a combination of silicon plus oxygen. Now quartz is also a rock. ठीक है, quartz is a type of a rock or a type of element. In a nutshell, if I have to tell you, it is like this: rock is equal to mineral. Matlab, this might be one mineral, this can be mineral 2, second mineral. Now what is a mineral? A mineral can be collection of elements. Now these can be your elements. This is element 1, this can be element 2, and this can be element 3. Now elements are naturally occurring substances which are found on the surface of the earth and in the atmosphere as well, right? For example, quartz is there. Quartz is a combination of silica plus oxygen. Now what is silica? Silica matlab matti. It is the soil, or this quartz is, the silica is considered to be mitti. So these are the fundamental definitions of what do you mean by a rock, what do you mean by a mineral, and how is it different from elements. I hope now you got this. One last time I will be repeating: rock is a collection of minerals and mineral is a collection of elements. Now sometimes a rock can have a single mineral within it, a rock can have multiple minerals. For example, in the current affairs you might come across a term called polymetallic nodules. Now what is this polymetallic nodule which is found at the bottom of the ocean? See, you dig deep into the oceans, you might find that there are some polymetallic nodules, and these polymetallic nodules have poly metals. There are multiple metals like copper is there, nickel is there, ferrous is there in one particular rock, right? So this is also a type of rock. Polymetallic nodules is a type of rock, and that multiple minerals are there, right? Okay, now come to the fundamental understanding of the rock. See, every rock has a structure. Now these structures can be cubical in structure. The crystals in the rock can be of cubical in nature, can be cylindrical in nature, can be hexagonal in nature. Every rock has certain crystals within them. Now those crystals have different shapes, right? This is the first characteristic of the rock. But you also need to know what are the different types of rocks which are present on the surface of the earth. See, there are 3 different types of rocks. Now fundamentally, if you divide them, a rock can be called as collection of minerals, minerals can be collection of elements, and these rocks, they can sometimes have single mineral, and these rocks are of 3 different types. The first type is igneous rock, the second type is sedimentary rock, and the third type of rock is called as metamorphic rock. What we will be doing is, we'll be trying to understand about the igneous rocks, about the sedimentary rocks, and also about metamorphic rocks, and we'll try to deal them in an independent manner. I'll be telling you what are the examples of this, where do you find in India, right? And what is the source of this rock formation. Okay, now let's quickly begin. Firstly, igneous rocks. What do you mean by an igneous rock? An igneous rock is a rock which is considered to be called as primary rock. All the igneous rocks will also be called as primary rock. Now why are they called primary rocks? Because these are the rocks which were formed for the first time on the surface of the earth. As you all know, we have studied the Big Bang theory also. Imagine that today you have a volcano pouring out on some part of the earth. Just imagine this is your earth, right? So when this volcano is pouring out, usually as we talk now, in the Iceland, there is continuous eruption of volcano that is taking place. You also have Andaman volcano, you also have Indonesian volcanoes. You go to the Pacific area, the ring of fire, there also you have volcanoes. The fundamental rock, or the first rock that is formed from the volcano, we call this particular rocks as, these rocks are named as igneous rock. These rocks are called as igneous rocks. Now these igneous rocks, they are of 2 different types. One, this igneous rock, it can, imagine this is the surface, this is a volcano. Now this igneous rocks are formed when the volcanic material is thrown out, and this material, it can cool down on the surface also, it can cool down while some part of the material is coming out. Some material of this magma can be cooled out within the interior of the earth itself. So those materials, or those magma which turned out into lava, see, fundamental difference between magma and lava is, when the volcanic material is inside the earth, it is called as magma. When it comes onto the surface and it's flowing onto the surface, that is called as lava. So from where did the primary rocks form, or where did the igneous rocks form? The igneous rocks are formed from the lava, right? Now those materials or those rocks which are formed because of lava, we call them as extrusive. We call them as extrusive igneous rocks. And those rocks which are formed because of magma, which is cooled within the interior of the earth, we will call these type of rocks as intrusive, right? That means you got to learn that our igneous rocks are of two different types. One is intrusive, other is extrusive. I'll discuss about them in a detailed manner, but first let's try to read the literature which is given in the books. The igneous rocks are formed by the solidification of molten magma. ठीक है, मैंने already कहा था what is the difference between magma and lava. Lava is something when it is poured out onto the surface. Magma is when it is within the interior of the earth. It can be magma or lava also. These rocks are also called as the primary rocks or parent rocks, as all other rocks are formed from these rocks. Yes, you know that there are three different types of rocks: igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks, and metamorphic rocks. Igneous rocks, they are of two different types. One is intrusive, other is extrusive. Sedimentary rocks, they can be organic or they can be chemically formed. Metamorphic rock, they can be thermal metamorphically formed because of temperature, and other one is dynamic metamorphism. I'll discuss this in a detailed manner, but come back when I say that your igneous rocks are the primary rocks, because both this sedimentary rocks and metamorphic rocks, they are modified form of these igneous rocks. First the igneous rocks form, and then from these rocks the sedimentary rocks can be formed, and from the same rocks your metamorphic rocks can be formed. That's why this is called as a parent rock, or it is also called as the primary rock, right? This is also called as primary rock. I hope this is clear till now. ठीक है, let's move. What are the characteristics of these igneous rocks? See, the characteristics of the igneous rocks are very unique. These rocks are hard in nature. ठीक है, they are very hard as compared to sedimentary rocks, and these are impermeable. ठीक है, that means the water cannot easily pass through them. They do not contain fossils. What do you mean by fossils? Fossils are nothing but those dead and decay matter, organic matter. Just say if an animal dies, if it is covered with the rock, that is called as a fossilified rocks. But in igneous rocks, as it directly comes from the volcano or from the interior of the earth, in these rocks you do not contain fossils. There won't be any fossils, there won't be any animals in those rocks. But in sedimentary rocks you can find, in metamorphic rocks you can find, right? And the last characteristic is that they are associated with the volcanic activities, right? Now these are the four fundamental characteristics when you need to know with respect to the igneous rocks. Now come to some more understanding that they consist of silicate minerals. Now what do you mean by silicate minerals? See, silica means mitti. जो मिट्टी होता है ना उसे सिलिका कहते हैं, right? Silicate minerals means those, while the rock is getting formed, already the material which is there, it gets mixed with that. Now those materials are called as silicate minerals, right? As you all know, this is of two different types. Now let's quickly get into the different types of igneous rocks. See, you just look into the fundamentals of volcano, you will understand that those rocks which are present on the surface, they will get cooled quickly, and those rocks which are present in the interior, they get cooled very slowly. Now let's look at this volcano. Let's have a look here. As the volcano erupts, you will get to see the rocks that are being formed, and these rocks, they can be divided into one, extrusive, which is present on the surface. Now these rocks are subjected to atmosphere, so they quickly cool down, and it might take few seconds or sometimes it might take an hour or so to cool down. The faster the cooling of the rocks, the smaller will be the crystal. Remember this, the faster the cooling of the rocks, the smaller will be the crystal. The slower the cooling of the rocks, the rock crystal will be larger, right? The quality of the rocks will be little more better. Now see here, you tell me, extrusive igneous rocks are going to cool faster, intrusive igneous rocks. Obviously, it takes only few minutes or an hours to cool down these rocks, that is extrusive igneous rocks. Now it takes seconds to months, or texture, it is invisible to microscopic grains. Basically the crystals that are formed, they are not even easily visible to the microscope, right? So the size of the crystals is small crystals, right? Next is intrusive cooling. Intrusive cooling might take few years or few thousands of years, because these rocks are present within the interior of the earth, right? So it was hot and it takes little time. So that's why the grains or the crystals which are formed, they are large. The grains which are formed in the intrusive igneous rocks are called as, they are large. Now what is the example for extrusive igneous rocks and what is an example for intrusive igneous rock? See, one of the finest example that I can give for intrusive igneous rock is have you ever heard of granite? Granite तो सुना होगा पक्का आपने. Granite is one of the finest elements, finest rocks for the example of intrusive. Whereas you might have heard about basalt. Basalt, I'll show you both these rocks. This basalt is an extrusive igneous rock which is cooled faster. Likewise, you see here, there is another type of igneous rocks that is called as plutonic rocks. Now what is this plutonic rock? Plutonic rock means if the cooling takes more than 1 million years, if the cooling takes more than lakhs of years, now that type of rock which took more than few million years to cool down is called as plutonic rock. It takes sometimes millions of years. So broadly speaking, your rocks are divided into rocks, which is further divided into number 1 igneous rocks, next sedimentary, and the third one is metamorphic. Now within this igneous rock, you got to learn the extrusive, intrusive, and the third one is plutonic. Cooled above the surface and they are cooled below the surface, and this takes millions of years, right? More than millions of years it is taking. Now this is how the fundamental classification of rocks is done. Now let's go into little more detail and try to understand further more aspects of the igneous rock. You know that igneous rocks are of extrusive and intrusive. Okay. Look here, your intrusive rocks, they are also called as crystalline rocks. Why they are called crystalline rocks? Because I told you, right, the crystals are formed very neatly in the intrusive. The slower the cooling, the larger will be the size of the crystal. So that's why your intrusive igneous rocks are also called as crystalline rocks. Your extrusive igneous rocks, okay, the best example is basalt. Now what is basalt? You go to the Deccan Plateau, okay, Deccan Plateau, which is the current Hyderabad, Maharashtra. This is the place where you will find this basaltic rock. Now you can ask me, sir, was there any volcano which was there at the was there any volcano at that point of time when the Deccan Plateau formed? Yes, your Deccan Plateau, Karnataka Plateau, even the entire Maharashtra, western part of Maharashtra is formed because of a volcano. The Hyderabad is formed because of a volcano. Now you might ask, sir, such a big volcano? Yes. The volcano outpour was there for few millions of years. Continuously the volcano was pouring out. So it took so many millions of years to form that part of the landmass. Right? This is one of the finest example. Now come to the types of plutonic rocks or types of igneous rocks within the intrusive rocks. See here, furthermore, if we go into the types of intrusive igneous rocks, they are of two different types. One is plutonic, second one is hyperbasal rocks. See, these plutonic rocks and the ones which are formed at the shallow depths are called as hyperbasal. Now look here, intrusive, this can be plutonic, which is cooled below the surface and which takes millions of years, and other one is hyperbasal, which means this is cooled at shallow depth. Now, all of these things you will understand in the next 15 to 20 minutes, but please be patient to take this knowledge. One is hyperbasal rocks. Hyperbasal rocks means those rocks which are cooled below the surface of the earth, and that depth of the cooling is not too deep, it is at a shallow depth. If the depth is too deep, we call it as plutonic rocks. Right now, this is also the fundamental classification of the intrusive igneous rocks. One of the finest example of the plutonic rocks are granite, diorite and gabbro, whereas the hyperbasal rocks example is dolerite. I'll show you all of these rocks. Okay, now look here, just try to watch this particular slide for a minute or so. Extrusive igneous rocks, I already told basalt. Now, how does this basalt look? Basalt look black in color. You go to Deccan Plateau, you go to the Maharashtra, you go to the Hyderabad, the rocks there generally looks black color. It is because they were cooled very quickly. The material that is made up of the material of these rocks is called as basalt. Okay? The density of this particular material is more. This particular rock is more, right? Whereas obsidian is also a type of rock which is also extrusive igneous rock. It also looks black in color and lot more black in color. Whereas intrusive igneous rocks kaun sa hai? That is granite. And there are a lot more intrusive igneous rocks. I'll be showing you them. Whenever a volcano which wants to come out, the volcanic material will form rocks within the interior of the earth, the surface of the earth. Beneath the surface of the earth, there will be different types of formations, different types of rocks. Now, those rocks, if I show you, you'll be surprised to know that they are having different names and they'll have different set of characteristics as well. So, I'll be showing you a few more intrusive igneous rocks. Just be patient. Look here. Just imagine this is your volcano. Okay? Look at this particular slide. Now, if suppose this is above the surface. Okay? These are above the surface, and all these rocks which are found above the surface, we will call them as extrusive igneous rocks. So you tell me the characteristics of the extrusive igneous rocks. Are they cooling faster or slower? They cool fast cooling. क्रिस्टल साइज क्या होगा? छोटा होगा या बड़ा होगा? दे आर वेरी फाइन साइज्ड crystals. Now, can I call this entire area is below the surface of the earth? Now, this below the surface of the earth, all these rocks, can I call them as intrusive igneous rocks? That means below this black line, can I call them as intrusive igneous rocks? Yes. Now, these intrusive igneous rocks, while the volcano which is trying to come out, it will have different vents, right? It is not having a single hole or single vent. It might want to come out from various places, but finally it will be succeeding from one particular place, right? Now, you can also ask me, sir, why the volcanoes always have cones here? The volcanoes always have cones because imagine this is your surface. My hand is a surface. Now, from beneath, there is volcano which is trying to come up. Will it come slowly? No, right? Volcano will also have gases. These gases will try to push the land on a continuous basis for years together. In the due process, if it is continuously pushing and hitting hard, one fine day, this particular rocks which are there, they get weakened and they bend. The structure gets weakened and they get bent, and one fine day, this entire volcano with so much of pressure will push apart and it will turn into a cone, right? You'll find a cone here. It is because this area got weakened, right? Now, likewise, you look into the intrusive igneous rocks. Now, these intrusive igneous rocks they have different names. Look at the base, this is called as batholith. This is called as batholith. Batholith is the place where the base of the rock is there, where the volcano will cool down at a very deeper rates and it spreads to larger areas. Now, just if you can see this, if the same volcanic material is cooling in the vertical form, you call this as dike. If the same material is cooling down in the horizontal form, you will call it as sill. Let me show you. This is sill. And if this volcano is cooling down within the interior, In the vertical form, this is dike. And one more thing, after few thousands or hundreds of years, this volcano might be dead and this entire area might get eroded. Whenever that erosion happens, you will also see dikes getting exposed onto the surface. Just imagine all this area, after few thousands of years, it got exposed. Okay? It got eroded because of rain, wind, all the other actions. Sometimes these dikes might also get exposed to the surface. Right? Now at that point of time, your surface will look like this. Just imagine this is a dike. So this can be your surface. But what happened to the entire area above? This entire area above might have washed away. I'm not talking about 1 or 2 years, it takes millions and lakhs of years. It can happen, and there are many places where dikes which are there, they are exposed. This is because rest of the area got washed away. Now look here, this is called as dike. Whereas if the same rock, if it is going to have a dome shaped, you call this as laccolith. Okay? And batholith is a plutonic rock where it is cooled at a very deeper rate. Hyperbasal rock kaha jata hai, right? So you got to learn different types of rocks. One is batholith. What is a stock? Stock is when batholith is connected to a dike, this is called as a stock, right? When batholith is connected to a dike, that is called as a stock, right? Sill is horizontally cooled, dike is vertically cooled, laccolith is dome shaped. Likewise, you also have different shapes which have different names. Now look here. For suppose if you have a saucer shaped cooling of this particular rock, you will call this as lopolith. This is called as lopolith. Whereas if you have rocks cooling in the form of anticline and syncline, or valley jaisa rocks cool ho raha hai, jaise look here, this is high and this is low. This is nothing but anticline syncline ho gaya na. Anticline, syncline. So this kind of rocks, you will call it as facholith. This is also a type of intrusive rock. And I already told you, if you have a dome shaped, you call this as laccolith. That means, look at this, lith is a stone and rest of that are shapes. Lapo means saucer shaped. Facholith, this is inverted anticline syncline rocks, whereas laccolith, it is dome shaped. So these are some of the basic rocks which are intrusive igneous in nature, and they are also having different names, different compositions. We call them as andesite. There are other igneous rocks also. Let me show you what are these. Look at this. This is your basalt and this is your granite. This is how they look. Both are igneous rocks. Basalt is which is cooled on the surface, but granite is which is cooled on the interior of the earth, right? Now see here, these are the names of the igneous rocks. It can be andesite, it can be basalt, it can be diorite, it can be gabbro, it can be pegmatite. दिखने में अलग अलग forms होगा. In this, the content of acidic content will vary, but these are the different types. हमने obsidian rock already देख लिया. We have also seen the basaltic rock. These two are exclusive, right? Granite is an intrusive rock, whereas pegmatite is an igneous rock, extrusive rock, right? So all these rocks are primarily formed from the volcanic material itself. Now the volcano, if it is having too much of acid content in it, now those rocks we'll call them as andesite. See here, if suppose this is a volcano and this volcanic material, while it is pouring out, the volcano has good acid content. Acidic content is more. Now this will become andesite. If it is having basic content, basic means where the pH is little higher, so that is called basalt. Now all these rocks have varied levels of acidity, right? So let me quickly read out these names of these rocks. UPSC or any other state PCS might ask you which of the following is considered to be the igneous rock. Okay, they'll give you options or metamorphic options. They'll try to give you match the following. There is a possibility of a question being asked in this particular slide. So let me quickly give out a reading so that at least you will remember that: andesite, basalt, diorite, gabbro, granite, obsidian, pegmatite, pumice, rhyolite, scoria, and this peridotite. It is one of the most rare rocks which you will not find in India that easily. Okay? And the last is tuff. So these almost 12 names you need to remember. Okay? These 12 names please remember. Now see here. Once read this. Extrusive igneous rocks cool quickly, and as a result these rocks are fine grained. Remember this very important point. Fine grained, whereas this is coarse grained, and it is having very well developed grains. Right? Now this is what you need to know about the igneous rocks. Right? Okay. Now come to the second type of rock, that is our sedimentary rocks. And look here, if you can see this image, this is not Himalayas, these are Western Ghats. Western Ghats, where are they present? If this is your India, these are your Western Ghats, and this is your Maharashtra, this is your Deccan Plateau. So this entire region is having basalt. These are extrusive igneous rocks. Okay? These are extrusive igneous rocks. We go to Hyderabad also, or in the regions nearby the coal mines. See the Deccan Plateau region, and so there you will find both the type of rocks. One is your basaltic type, and sedimentary rocks are also found wherever you find igneous rocks. That I'll tell you little further time period. Now these are all igneous rocks. Ye bhi, look at this entire part of India. Try to see here. This is called as Deccan Trap. This entire region will have igneous rocks. Here also igneous rocks. Here also igneous rocks. Now Dharwar, here also you will have igneous rocks. Here also you will have igneous rocks. Right? So these are the places of your igneous rocks. Now let's quickly come to the sedimentary rocks. Now what is a sedimentary rock? Basically, whenever the igneous rocks breaks down into pieces and again the rock formation takes place, that is called as sedimentary rock. Now sedimentary rocks are formed by the sediments derived and deposited by various agents. That means an igneous rock which is exposed to wind, rain, water and other exogenetic activities such as maybe human actions. We do constructions, we also break them, animal actions, or extreme heat in the summers and cooled in the winters, they will break down. Now when these rocks got broken down, what do is they further break into smaller pieces, and finally under pressure or under cementation they will become a rock again. For example, the best example is your sandstone. I hope many of you have used sandstone or pumice stone to rub your feet. These are some of the examples of the sedimentary rocks. But once let us quickly look into the characteristics of the sedimentary rocks. See, sedimentary rocks will always have layers. Right? They will have layers. And they do not have crystals. They are non-crystalline rocks. Igneous rocks, do they have crystals? Yes, they have crystals. One is fine grained, other one is coarse grained. Intrusive is coarse grained, extrusive is fine grained, whereas they contain fossils. Do you have fossils in the igneous rock? There are no fossils in the igneous rock, but here you will find fossils. Now why do you find fossils here? It is because if suppose this is an igneous rock which got broken into pieces and it is transported because of wind, running water or glaciers. Now these small pieces which are broken, maybe there is an animal which got dead here. Now this animal will be buried under these rocks. Animal means not a big animal. It can be a small seal, it can be a small bird, it can be a small insect also. So if or any wooded material which is there, you will get to know that in this there is a fossil. You can also have the fossils within them. So that's why you will find fossils in the sedimentary rocks, but no fossils in the igneous rock, right? Okay. And the last one is they are soft and get eroded easily. These rocks are softer and they also get eroded easily. Now look, let's imagine that there is a volcano and this volcano started to give out. Imagine there is a volcano. This volcano started to give out some rocks. Imagine these are the rocks. Okay? These are freshly made rocks. Now when these rocks, because of rain or wind or running water, there could be a river also, they get transported and get deposited elsewhere. Now here is the place where the sedimentary rocks form. Within this sedimentary, you can have animals, birds, all living organisms, maybe a wood which is covered. Finally, it gets some kind of changes within them. Now in the due process, always remember, the finer the particles, मतलब जो छोटे particles होते हैं ना, सबसे छोटे particles, they will travel for longer distances. The heavier particles, they travel for lesser distances. Likewise, you look into sedimentary rocks. In the sedimentary rocks, stones will be, they cannot travel for further distances, long distances they cannot travel. Whereas gravel can travel little more further. Gravel is, the size of the material is little smaller. Whereas sand, it can travel for longer distances because wind can also take it along. You look into the mud, they can also travel for longer distances. Rain can travel it, right? Sand can travel longer distances. But lastly, you look into the silt. Silt is very fine. That means if you look, the finer the material, the longer will be the distance that it can travel. In the sedimentary rocks, these are the major types of materials that you will come across. One is stones, then comes the gravels, sand, mud and silt. Sand, mud and silt. So these are the order in which the transportation takes place. Right? Okay. Let's try to look into the types of the sedimentary rocks. There are three different types of sedimentary rocks. Number one, it is your organic sedimentary rocks. First, second one is your mechanical sedimentary rocks, and the third one is chemical sedimentary rocks. The formation of these three different types of sedimentary rocks are different from each other. Let's look into organic sedimentary rocks. Now, what does it mean by organic sedimentary rocks? These organic sedimentary rocks means in which you will have fossils. Okay? For example, coal is there. Coal is also a sedimentary rock. Petroleum, natural gas, you will also find them in the sedimentary rocks. It is because, imagine this is a sea. Okay? Let's imagine that this is a sea. And in the sea there are lakhs and lakhs of animals which were there. Finally, the sea got dried and these all animals got deposited at the bottom. Okay? And there could be forest that got submerged. After few lakhs of years, you got to see the formation of this rock. Imagine this entire area now became stones. Do you have fossils with them? Yes, you will have fossils within them. And those fossils, they can also turn out to be fossil fuel ban sakta hai. So your organic sedimentary rocks has a definition to it. Look at this. These rocks are formed as a result of decomposition of dead plants and animals. That means all this decomposed dead organic matter which was there, you will see that this is getting filled and this will turn out to be rocks. Coal is a kind of this rock. Peat is a kind of this rock. Coal is nothing but, it is, once there could have been a forest here. Imagine there could have been a forest and this forest might have been submerged or it might have been eroded, and finally all the material of the forest got ducked with the rocks, and this turned out to be an organic sedimentary rock in which you need to have either plants or animals, and finally after few lakhs of years you will find this sedimentary rock being formed. Now this is an organic sedimentary rock. Now look at this organic sedimentary rocks. Best example, just a minute, let me show you. The best examples are coal. Coal is an organic sedimentary rock. How is it formed? By the trees and vegetation which got buried and submerged under the sand. Rock formed from the peat and other deposits may be burned as a mineral fuel. Next, petroleum is an example. Natural gas is an example. Liquid hydrocarbons which are found in the sedimentary deposits that will turn out to be called as petroleum. It is also found in the sedimentary rocks. ठीक है? See, most of the petrol and natural gas, petrol is found in here. इंडिया का सबसे ज्यादा जो पेट्रोल एंड नेचुरल गैस है ना, विच इज फाउंड अंडर द सी हियर. दिस इज द प्लेसेस वेयर यू विल फाइंड. यू नो व्हाई? बिकॉज within the sea you will come across that there are rivers which are moving in this direction and they get deposited, they deposit large scales of all other organic matter, and finally this river will also bring in some kind of sediments and the sediments will be buried. Once the sediments are buried, over a period of time later it will turn out into a rock, right? All this is happening under the water itself. Our scientists will go and study that there is a sedimentary rock here. Maybe in this sedimentary rocks there could have been a forest once which got buried with the sediments, and they'll dig. There you will get to see oil and natural gas which is filled with the fossil fuels, right? Okay, this is a image that can help you to understand how the sedimentary rocks of organic type of sedimentary rocks are formed. Imagine this is a stagnant water. Over a period of time the water is filled with sand, and this sand will compress the forests which were there, and slowly you will see a rock which is being formed here, that is a lignite and peat coal. कोयला बनता है यहाँ पर, because earlier, just imagine these are organic matter which is either forest or so something, right? And lastly you will see a layer of bituminous coal, koila banta hai, and then above that you have these sedimentary organic rocks, right? In simple terms, dead and decaying organic matter which is there, it should be there under the submerged water or under the buried sand. This is how the sedimentary rocks are found. Best examples of the sedimentary rocks are, one is coal, is an organic sedimentary rock, right? Today we are going to extract this big, very large scale coal projects. That means this entire area was once covered with forests or living beings, right? Now come to the second component, that is, what do you mean by mechanical sedimentary rock? See, mechanically sedimented rocks are nothing but when on a particular rock, if you start to keep layer by layers and they get cemented. Imagine this remote is an X type of rock, igneous rock. This is another igneous rock, and my keyboard is another igneous rock. They got broken into pieces, and first layer you will find this igneous rock, and the second layer you might find this igneous rock. Over a period of time they get cemented. Cemented means they get compacted, and slowly this will turn out to be into a mechanically sedimentary rock. Now what are the examples of the mechanical sedimentary rocks? Example, sandstone, which is a pumice stone used in the beauty products. You rub your feet with this particular sandstone. This is an example which is of cemented sand grains. Other one is silt stone. Again, this is also cemented by silt particles. Silt, आपने देखा ही है, finest particles are called as silt. Sand, look here, don't get confused. I've already told you this is sand. Sand अगर cement हो गया, cement means if इकट्ठा हो गया, चिपक गया, तब जाके क्या बनता है? Sandstone. Silt, siltstone. Silt means these are the silt. This will become a silt stone. They are soft in nature. ये बहुत ही soft होता है, right? Likewise, there are conglomerate. There is also mudstone. There's also clay if it getting into a stone, shale. Every rock of cementation will lead to the mechanically formed rock. Right? Now, next, these are some of the mechanically formed rocks. Cementation matlab chipakna. Right? They got sticked. This is also gravel. These are all gravels. These gravels got cemented by using another product. So this is also a sedimentary rock. This is also a sedimentary rock. This is called as silt stone. दिखने में कितना सॉफ्ट है, पूरा सिल्ट इकट्ठा होकर मिट्टी एक पत्थर बन गया. राइट नाउ द लास्ट rock is chemical sedimentary rocks. See, chemical sedimentary rocks, obviously the name itself will tell you these are chemical sediments. Now in this chemical sediments, the finest entity that you need to know here is gypsum. Gypsum सुना होगा, प्लास्टर ऑफ पेरिस, पुट्टी पुट्टी होता है ना, दीवार के ऊपर लगाता है. So that is also a part of this chemically sedimentary rocks. You go gypsum, I hope everyone has seen this. CaSO4 into 2H2O into 2H2O. This is what is gypsum. Now this gypsum is an example of chemical sedimentary rocks, but they are formed because of a process called precipitation. Okay? They are formed because of the precipitating minerals. Precipitating minerals matlab if there are minerals, they get precipitated, they settle down at the bottom. That is why they are formed. And they are chemically active. Evaporation होता है minerals के अंदर, अगर evaporation हुआ then that will become chemically formed sedimentary minerals. If a mineral is having if a rock is having certain kinds of minerals and those minerals they start to precipitate down. Now whatever the minerals that are precipitated down, you will get to see the formation of those sedimentary rocks. ज़्यादा complicated नहीं है, very simple है. Just you need to remember here one thing, that is precipitation of minerals from water or precipitation of minerals from any rock. Right? One of the finest examples are gypsum. Right? Crystalline rock is also example of this. Likewise, the other examples are, number 1, gypsum, rock salt. Okay? Rock salt. These days you consider this to be very good to the health. Rock salt is nothing but the bade patthar. In simple terms, you take the NaCl, samundar ka pani. ठीक है? You take samundar ka pani, oceanic water, and you start to heat that water. From the water, you will finally see the water gets evaporated, and finally you will come up with the formation of rocks, and this rock is example of rock salt. That means this is a chemically formed sedimentary rock. Can I say that? See, here you have learned the definition like this. These are formed by precipitation of minerals from water. Basically, you take oceanic water, and in this oceanic water you start to heat that oceanic water. The fresh water gets evaporated. That is nothing but it is formed by usually through evaporation of chemical rich solution. Oceanic water is called as sodium chloride, NaCl, and in this the fresh water gets evaporated and the precipitation of material starts to take place. Now what is this precipitation? Precipitation मतलब जो salt है, नमक है, वो धीरे धीरे नीचे deposit होगा और finally deposit होने के बाद if you dry them, this will become a rock. Now this rock is called as a chemically sedimented rock. Right? Chemical sediment rock. One of the finest example for this is your rock salt. Likewise, you will also have gypsum. Gypsum is also formed by evaporation of the minerals. Evaporation of the fresh water, and rest of the minerals are precipitated down. Likewise, travertine, also chert or chet. Right? And the last type of rocks is your metamorphic rock. But what do you mean by metamorphism? See, the word metamorphism actually comes from two different words. One is meta and morph. Meta means change and morph means shape. That means either look here, be it a sedimentary rock or an igneous rock. What you do is you either put them under high temperature and change the structure. Change the structure of these rocks. I'm talking about the chemical structure, the physical structure of this rock. Either through you give high temperature or you put pressure. Either you put pressure or you give temperature to these two rocks. Now these rocks will become metamorphic rock. Right? That means the same sedimentary rock will convert into a metamorphic rock. An igneous rock can also convert into metamorphic rock. An igneous rock can also convert into sedimentary rock. Right? When does a sedimentary or igneous rock convert into a metamorphic rock? When you change the structure of the rock by either giving extreme pressure to that rock or you give high temperatures to that rock. That means you change in the temperature and the pressure of the igneous or sedimentary rocks that will convert into a metamorphic rock. Now let me read the literature for you. When igneous and sedimentary rocks are subjected to high temperature and pressure, look here, they are subjected to high temperature and high pressure. That rock gets altered and tend to form a new kind of rock which is called as metamorphic rock. That means structurally changes देखने के लिए मिलता है. You will get to see the changes in the structure. Right? Next, this metamorphism is of two types. One metamorphism is also called as thermal metamorphism. Other one is dynamic metamorphism. Thermal means simply temperature. Imagine this is a rock. You give extreme temperature to this particular rock. The structure of the rock can be changed. If you're changing this through temperature, then this is called as thermal metamorphism. Same way, instead of giving temperature to this, maybe I give extreme pressure to this particular rock, extreme pressure. Now this rock can also undergo changes. This rock, it doesn't mean that 5-10 minutes mein to change nahi hoga. You give for thousands of years. Maybe this rock went and got submerged under the water, or maybe it got submerged under a bigger rock. It is experiencing so much of pressure. Now the structure, internal structure, the crystalline structure of the rocks can get changed under the pressure. That pressure, if it is given, that is called as dynamic metamorphism. Right? Which is mainly caused due to high pressure. Right? And this process is called as dynamic metamorphism. Right? Clear? Now formation of metamorphic rocks from igneous rock, formation of metamorphic rocks from sedimentary rock. I already told you, from sedimentary rocks also you can have metamorphic rock. For example, in your childhood, I hope many of you might not have used this slate, but our generation have used slate. We used to use a pencil and a slate. Now that slate is a sedimentary rock. Now the same slate, if you give extreme pressure or temperature, it will get converted into another form of rock, which is called as gneiss. Maybe the diamond, see, the nib of a pencil sometimes has graphite. Black pencil का nib जो होता है ना वो graphite माना जाता है. You give extreme pressure and temperature to it, which rock it will get converted into? If you give extreme pressure and temperature to this graphite will convert into a diamond. Do you know that? Yes. One of the finest examples of this metamorphic rocks. See, granite can be converted into gneiss, which is caused by dynamic metamorphism, whereas basalt can be converted into ecoglyte, which is caused by thermal metamorphism. Whereas if you look into the sedimentary rocks, sandstone can be converted into quartzite. Likewise, shale can be converted into slate. look here, let me show you the images. I know this is little difficult for you to understand, but see, look at this image. It will give you a better understanding to you. See, increasing the pressure. You take a shale rock. Shale is a sedimentary rock. Do you agree? Shale is a sedimentary rock. Now, how did this shale form? Shale is usually formed under the ocean or under a river or wherever the water is there, where dead fishes and all, they get buried, and over that you have some sediments, and after few millions of years this shale rock will be formed, right? That means within this there is so much of organic material. Now this shale, you keep on increasing the pressure to this. What happens? You increase pressure to this, sorry, pressure is here. You increase pressure to this, the shale will become blue schist. Or else you give temperature to this shale, you increase temperature, it will become slate. Increase slate temperature, it will become schist. Or schist will turn into gneiss, gneiss will turn into magmatite. So this is one of the finest examples for you to understand how does a rock change its form whenever we are giving temperature and pressure. In the further classes, you will understand how this temperature and pressure can get changed through natural means and ways. See, our earth is fully made up of plates. These plates continuously move from one place to another place. They collide with each other. If they are colliding with each other, for example, let's think of Himalayas. Himalayas are present between the Indian plate and the Chinese plate, that is Eurasian plate. Now, with so much of pressure, the Himalayas are rising. Now, Himalayas will have lot of sedimentary rocks, lot of metamorphic rocks. Continuous changes will be seen in the Himalayan rocks, right? So, this is an example of slate, right? This is also an example. For example, slate can be converted into phyllite, phyllite can be converted into schist, schist can be converted into gneiss. दिखने में तो सेम ही लगता है, but the structure, internal structure जो होता है ना, वो बदल जाता है. Rock का structure, crystalline structure, those things will get changed, right? This is in increasing metamorphism. So this is also a metamorphic rock. Look at this rock. It got banded, मतलब अलग-अलग layers, right? Okay. Likewise, your metamorphism can be of two different types. One, it could be dynamic metamorphism, or it could be regional metamorphism, or it could be contact metamorphism. See, you already know thermal metamorphism and dynamic metamorphism, but I am adding two more types of metamorphism. One is contact metamorphism. Contact metamorphism means, for example, let's imagine that there is a volcano, okay? And this volcano, it is trying to come out. The vent will be from beneath, and the volcanic material are trying to come out. During this time, now beneath the surface, maybe there could be some rocks. Imagine these rocks, they also come in contact with this hot material, and the rocks can get heated. That means if they are in contact with this hot material, this is called as contact metamorphism. The temperature is directly given. Now imagine that there is volcanic material which is wanting to come out from here. So in the due process, just a minute, look here. The volcanic material is trying to come out from here. In the due process, this part of the area is exposed to that heat and temperature. That means it is in contact. Now these rocks will get converted into metamorphic rock. That is called as contact metamorphism. Now if it is happening without contact, what do you call? You call this as regional metamorphism. Okay? You call this as regional metamorphism. Without contact, but the heat is getting transferred within the rocks. So this is called as contact metamorphism. In this, there are two components involved. One, heat, and the second one is pressure. And you give some stress to it. You give heat to this part of the region. Not direct heat, indirect heat. मतलब अगर direct अगर heat दे रहे हो, if the rock is in directly contact with the fire, and this is called as contact metamorphism. Whereas rock is present 3 kilometers away from you, but that rock is still experiencing so much of heat, and there is a pressure which is given through various means. Now this is called as regional metamorphism. There is another metamorphism which is dynamic metamorphism, which means you give pressure. Pressure is always related to dynamism. That is called as dynamic metamorphism, right? So let me quickly revise this. For example, you are giving temperature contact directly, then it is called as contact metamorphism, that is heat. If you are giving pressure plus heat and stress, this is called as regional metamorphism. And if you are giving pressure plus you are twisting the rocks or folding and faulting the rocks, right, and giving pressure, this is called as dynamic metamorphism. You give stress to this, that is dynamic metamorphism, right? So these are the three different type of metamorphisms, and examples you already got to know, right? One of the finest examples of this is shale is getting converted into schist, and then slate is getting converted into gneiss. These are some of the examples. And the last topic, which is very, very important, is called as the rock cycle. This is one last topic that you need to know, because rock cycle, see, it will explain and help you to understand how the rocks are going to change their form. I already told you that rocks are of three different types. Now you got to know, you can divide the rocks into one, sedimentary, and these sedimentary rocks can be further divided into organic sedimentary, chemical sedimentary, and the third type is mechanical sedimentary, right? Then you got to learn the igneous. Igneous rocks can be intrusive or extrusive, right? And the third one is metamorphic. Now this metamorphic rocks can be dynamic metamorphism, just a minute, dynamic metamorphism, or it can be the thermal metamorphism, or it can be regional, whatever, okay? This is through pressure, or this is through temperature, and you give temperature plus pressure, this is becoming regional. Now look here, what is a parent rock here? The parent rock is always the which comes from volcano, that is your igneous rock, right? If suppose can I convert igneous rock into sedimentary? I can convert. How? Through the action of, suppose igneous rock is exposed to either wind, rain, right, and running water. On a continuous basis, these rocks are getting hit, they will break into particles and it can become sedimentary. Can my sedimentary rock become a metamorphic rock? Yes. How? Sedimentary rock can become a metamorphic rock if I am giving pressure, temperature, right? Now can my metamorphic rock become igneous? Yes. Your metamorphic rock can also become igneous when it is completely melted. Okay. Can my igneous rock become sedimentary? Yes. Can sedimentary rock become igneous? Yes. Your sedimentary rock can also become igneous when it is melted, completely melted. Okay, you melt the rock completely, it will change its structure and finally it will lose all its properties, and again when it is solidified it will become an igneous rock. So this type of changes in the rocks from one form to another form and coming back to the same igneous rock is called as rock cycle. Now look at this rock cycle. Let's imagine this is a metamorphic rock, right? Can this metamorphic rock convert into a igneous rock? Yes, it can. When you melt this metamorphic rock, this rock can be converted into igneous rock, right? Can the igneous rock get converted into the sedimentary rocks? Yes, with the actions of weathering and erosion, it can get converted. Likewise, can the sedimentary rocks convert itself into a metamorphic rock? Yes, you either give heat or pressure to it. Now this is what is called as the rock cycle. I have represented in a beautiful manner. You will also get these slides to you. So don't worry, you will also be given these slides. It will be uploaded so that you can have a complete revision through these particular slides itself. Now reading the literature, it will take time. So once you have this, it becomes little easier. Look here. You have an igneous rock. Can you convert this igneous rock into metamorphism? Yes, metamorphic rock. One, you give heat plus pressure. Right? Look here. I am trying to convert igneous to metamorphic. You give either heat plus pressure. Next, can I convert a sedimentary rock into metamorphic rock? Yes. All I need to give is heat or pressure. Next, can I convert a metamorphic rock into igneous rock? Yes, I can convert by melting. Now, can I convert a metamorphic rock into sedimentary rock? Yes, by subjecting it to weathering and erosion. Right? So this is your metamorphic. Now this is your igneous. Now see, can I convert the igneous rock into sedimentary rock? I can convert again by subjecting it to weathering right. Now can I convert the sedimentary rock into igneous rock? Yes, by melting. Right. In simple terms, your sedimentary can be converted into any type of rock, your igneous can be converted into any type of rock, your metamorphic can be converted into any type of rock. Now this system of changes through other means and ways, which is called as exogenetic process, which we shall be studying in the next class, you will be able to get a complete picture on this rock cycle. I hope this particular topic is clear for you, and if you have any doubts, you're most welcome to drop a message to me. I'll be very happy to address all your doubts. My name is Madhusudan Reddy, and if you have any doubts, you can always drop a message to me. Right? Okay. I hope this is clear to you. Yes, this is what is rock cycle, and this rock cycle is also given in your NCERT. And one last map which I wanted to show you is this. That is the geological map of India. See here, where do you find the most important rocks? Look, you will find the sedimentary rocks. Your sedimentary rocks are yellow in color. These yellow color sedimentary rocks. Wherever you find a river, next to a river, you will find sedimentary rocks. Now this is Ganga, okay, and this is Brahmaputra river. Wherever you find a river, you will find sedimentary rocks, because river brings in lot of sediments from the higher regions. Metamorphic rocks, look here, this is Deccan Trap, right? Deccan Trap will have igneous rocks. This is all igneous rocks, because once there used to be a very big volcano, and this volcano poured in for few lakhs and thousands of lakhs and lakhs of years. Because of it, this landmass formed. Whereas when you come to the metamorphic rocks, see, this is a metamorphic rock. In these parts of the area which was subjected to folding and faulting, right, this is called as metamorphic rock. Now broadly, these are the major different types of rocks, and rocks has very close relationship with the soil. I'll explain the soil concept in an other class, but I hope this is quite clear for you. One introduction which I wanted to give you is, see, this is how a basaltic rock looks. This is how the basaltic rock looks, right? Now this basaltic rock is of which type of rock? Igneous or sedimentary? This is igneous rock, right? Looks black in color. And where is it, an extrusive or intrusive? It is an extrusive rock. Now this rock is found in India. See, this basaltic rock is found in India here. One on the Western Ghats also. in the Gujarat also, and in the Deccan Plateau also, right? If the same basaltic rock, if it is, see, UPSC will ask questions like this. Whatever you are learning are very basics, okay? Very basics in the sense I am little elevating your standards and trying to teach you this. In the advanced classes, this is how the linkage will be made for UPSC, right? And I'll really wish to see you in the advanced batches of the classes. Now, see here, let me tell you how we will be linking this particular topic to the soil. You know that this basaltic rock is present in this part of the region. First, suppose if basaltic rock is present in an area, this is the region where the temperatures are high, temperature is high, and rainfall is less. Okay? But you go to Western Ghats region in this part of the area, look at this part of the area, it is also basaltic rock, but this part of the area has high rainfall plus good sunlight, good heat. Same rock hai. Now the same rock is subjected to different climatic conditions. I said that here the temperature is very high in this region, Rayalaseema region, Andhra Pradesh, the temperature is hot compared to the rainfall of Western Ghats. यहाँ पे सारे mountains होते हैं तो बारिश ज़्यादा होता है, the rainfall is high. Now here the type of soil that you are going to see here is laterite. This is called laterite. Whereas the type of soil that you are going to see in this part of the region is black soil. Who is the parent material for both of this soil? The parent material is none other than the basaltic rock. Now this basaltic rock is obtained from igneous rock, which is extrusive igneous rock. That means your extrusive igneous rocks of basalt can give you two different types of soils. What is that? It can give you a laterite type of soil and it can give you a black soil. So wherever you find these basaltic rocks, you will either have laterite soil or you will either have black soil. Now, is this given in your NCERT? No, but UPSC will ask you these kind of questions. State PCSC will ask you, any competitive examination will ask you. Now, this is where the teacher comes into to explain, make things easier, right? When you complete the geography classes by the end of this, you will be really enjoying these classes. And I am very happy to address all of your doubts again. You can drop me a message anytime. And thank you for giving me this opportunity. I will be seeing you in the next class. I hope this is what you need to know about rocks. There's nothing much beyond which you are supposed to know about the rocks, right? Clear? So thank you, and I shall be seeing you in the next class.